Welcome to Create, Build, Manage, the Entrepreneur's Toolbox.
Welcome to Create, Build, Manage on BizTV. I'm Kelli Phillips. Today we have an inspiring guest for you. Tadaaki Sun is a traumatic brain injury survivor who qualified for the Boston Marathon 2 years after his accident. He now encourages everyone to get moving for themselves. Stick around, we'll be right back with more Create, Build, Manage only on BizTV. He embarked on a self-discovery and healing journey after a traumatic brain injury from a bike accident. He took his healing into his own hands, and his efforts paid off when 2 years later, he was competing in the Boston Marathon. Please welcome Tadaaki Sun.
Thanks so much for inviting me. I feel honored to be here.
Well, thank you for being here. Let's back up before your accident and kind of give me your background and what you were doing before your bike accident.
Yeah, so I just got out of university, and there's part of me that I've worked so hard in university. I wanted to get my old life back, and my old life was very athletic. I've been doing different sports here and there. So at that time, actually, I wasn't a big fan of running, and it was this new year coming up. I was like, I'm gonna overcome that hatred of running. Like I didn't like it because it was boring. It was repetitive. So I took this opportunity to, I'm gonna go for a run. So I did my first 10K. It was pretty easy, but then I did a half marathon where it was like 30 degrees Celsius, very hot. I got muscle cramps and I was injured. So I had a lot of moments where I ran a race, I injured, and then I ran my first marathon, and then this bike accident happened. So yeah, to me, it was like, okay, like I finally got the hang of like having fun. Why do I always get injured? And it kind of reminded me of my childhood, because in my childhood, I actually really wasn't able to sit still. Like even the furthest relatives knew that like I would, in a family setting, I would get off the chair, I would run around the table, and people are like, oh my God, this kid just can't stop. And that kind of probably sat with me for the longest time. It's like, I couldn't run. So to me, like when I got into the bike accident, I was unconscious for 3 days. I woke up in the hospital. My face was half covered in blood. I didn't know what was going on. The doctor comes in and explains that I have a traumatic brain injury with a hemorrhage. I'm going to take 2 years or more even to recover. The interesting thing was the first thing that came to me is like, oh, if I have 2 years, then probably I have all the time to dedicate my life to qualifying for a Boston Marathon. And probably that came from me not being safe, being still. Like I couldn't imagine myself sitting still at home, taking painkillers. And who knows, like I've heard people who had minor concussions than me recovering for more than 3-4 years. So for me, with someone who has a hemorrhage in my brain, it was going to be longer than that. So yeah, like I just was actually excited that, oh, this 2 years time is going to be a time where no one's going to interrupt my life. I could really dedicate it to what I truly want versus me coming up from, so I'm originally Chinese, but I was born and raised in Japan. We really listen to other people or society, our family, the traditions. We're so good at doing what others want, but it was like the first time in my life where I got like ownership of what I wanted to do. And that was simply qualifying for Boston Marathon.
But those 2 years of recovery after your traumatic brain injury, did you take those prescribed painkillers that the doctors gave you, or how did you come about to get ready in 2 years? That just seems like a short time when it comes to qualifying for a marathon.
Totally. I mean, at first I wouldn't know, like I would just simply listen to having painkillers because I didn't know what else to do. So this is me being brought up in Japan. My assumption that if I were to get injured in Japan, I would get my whole body checked. But in this case, I already moved to Canada and they've only checked my brain. And even though I understand the brain had the biggest damage, my hands were swollen, my ribs, I think there was a few fracture in it. Like my body was really messed up. Like I was going down the bike, my back tire popped, I lost control. So my watch tells me I was flying at 70 kilometers an hour. It's pretty fast. My helmet split in two. So like rolling on the concrete, my body was in the best shape. So in that state where you first have a traumatic brain injury, I was sensitive to sound. I was sensitive to light. I was fatigued in general. But for me, like I really need to understand what my body is going through. So I actually wore those Bose headphones, those noise canceling headphones to really remove the distraction from the bus and the trains. I wore sunglasses. So from the outside, I will look like a total weirdo, but I needed to go to different doctors to figure out what's going on in my body. The funny thing is the fracture itself was like a hairline width. It's very small. So it was hard to notice. So they're like, you're fine. But like, to me, it's like, I'm fatigued. I'm like tired. Like my hands are swollen. Like must be something that is going wrong with my body. So the steps I took was actually reaching out to the alternative medicine, which now I really believe that they're the more traditional medicine. But simply starting from meditating, just understanding my body, what it's telling me, the feedback, the pain, so that I can really communicate with the different therapists. I was really fortunate enough. I started with going to my massage therapist, who is also a runner. So he saw me and it's like, okay, like you have to look at your spine. But first your muscles are really stressed from all the big accidents. So like starting from a massage to a chiro, who worked on the spine. Then I was introduced to acupuncture, who kind of worked at any energy blockages within my body, to then a naturopath who would help me with the nutrition. So I ended up getting referred, luckily, because I really wanted to recover quickly. And I also had that, okay, I'm going to make Boston Marathon. That was always in my mind. So like, in order to get there the quickest way possible, I think getting that message out there, I think people resonated with my story and they're like, oh, I'll refer you to this specialist. I'll refer you to an osteopath. Like I was working at least 6 therapists in a different field working at the same time. And I actually communicated with each person. Okay, this person told me this is what's happening to my body. So I literally created like a whole team of therapists to get myself into this state. So yeah, that really helped me with the recovery. And then the major piece that this is just a really fun piece that I wanted to add that, so with my massage therapist, we were discussing that typically when you run, the blood flows into your feet. And for someone with a hemorrhage in my brain, I'm like, perhaps if I jog slowly, the blood will flow down to my feet and remove all the toxins from my head. So it was just a simple hypothesis that we were just talking about. I'm like, I'm going to do this actually. So prior to the Boston Marathon race, I'm a normal runner. Like I would just go out all the best I can, burn out probably, within a 10K race. I would probably burn out at 7K and I'll go so tired. But in this state of traumatic brain injury, like it really helped me understand to listen to my body and move very, very slowly and not going past my pain. And so this is what I was practicing over within this 2 years to what pace is my body really comfortable with? What pace doesn't give me any headache?
And on
Like
that
this
note,
was kind of, yeah.
on that note, I want to stop you there because we're going to come back and talk to you, but we need to take a quick break. So stay tuned. Tadaaki Sun will come back and talk more about his recovery from traumatic brain injury. We'll be right back. Now let's welcome back Tadaaki Sun to talk more about his recovery from traumatic brain injury and then competing in the Boston Marathon. And Tadaaki, it sounds like you took matters into your own hand and actually listened to your body without pushing too hard so that way you could make the recovery to actually run in the Boston Marathon. So what does it take to be an athlete, in your opinion?
I think as an athlete, we all need to really understand our bodies. Like we can always reach out to coaches to give us workouts. But if you don't know where your body's at and if you're just doing the workouts, it's going to hurt you because these workouts that are given to us are based off of, other runners who have successfully completed the workouts. For me, I was way fragile than the workouts that are out there. So let's say if I didn't have this traumatic brain injury, if I Google a marathon plan and follow that, I would injure at some point. And same with if you go in a running club and you have a lot of fast runners and there's that pressure of really needing to catch up and pushing yourself. And there's a good amount of stress where you can take benefits of that. But sometimes you also push too hard. And then once you push too hard and get an injury, it's really hard to move past from that. Because what I've noticed with other runners while I was training is that there was a fear of, oh, if I don't run, then I will lose my fitness. And the fear of taking a break really kind of is the difference of whether you're going to injure or not. So for me, like as an athlete, you really want to understand how your body is. What kind of signs is it giving you? Do you feel good? Like if you're feeling good, yes, you can go, but like you don't want to push yourself. And if you're feeling bad, you can dial down your workout or even take a rest. You can always move around your schedule. So you really want to know how to manage your own body first before you kind of work on workouts. Yeah.
So take us back to when you got to run the Boston Marathon after your brain injury. You were ready, but what did you feel like? What did your body feel like after you ran it?
Boston Marathon was a very special race. You never get a race where for the whole 42 kilometers of the race, people are cheering for you. And to me, this race is actually pretty tough because it started with a rain, pouring rain. And during the race, it got hot. And then towards the end, it started raining again. So like for me, and then Boston Marathon is also known for the heartbreaking hill, which towards the end of the race, you get a mile long uphill. So I had muscle cramps. It wasn't the pleasant moment for me, but the fact that everyone cheered me throughout the race, and even after coming out of the race all the way to the airport, so many people just congratulated me, and I felt like a hero. It was the best race you can ever have. So to me, like, it was special because it's you, it's the people who are supporting, it's the music, it's all the people who worked hard to get into the top how many percent to compete. It was great. So yeah, like for me, like I didn't really care about getting results for that race. To me, it's like, oh, I had a traumatic brain injury. That's where my start was. And now I'm perhaps the 1% of the world's top runners by just being qualified to run in Boston. I was just enjoying the moment.
What's one thing that you learned from that experience, from taking you from that brain injury through the completion of the Boston Marathon, even to today?
I think the one thing that really sticks out is that at the end, like I'm taking all this understanding of my body and working with different therapists to really treat myself so that I can be in the best state. But as I said, like I had a team of therapists working with me. I had different, so other than running, I've also, the secret, this is part of my secret, but I've done like bar classes, I've done spinning classes. I've kind of make use of different exercises to really maximize the different muscle groups in my body so that like I don't get tired with just the running muscles. So when I finished the race, I actually, it was something that I naturally did. I just looked back and I just really thanked everyone who supported me along the way. Like it was, yes, it is me who completed the race, but there's so much people who supported me to kind of get this far into my life because, it is something that I just simply thought in the state of the traumatic brain injury that I want to run the Boston Marathon, but actually doing it, it's like, wow, like if it was just myself, I wouldn't be this far. So like, I'm just grateful for all the people who supported, all the therapists, all the runners who I ran with, and all the people, my friends, family who really supported, for my cause.
There are a lot of people that would have been in your situation or who have been in your situation and they just go, you know what, I'm giving up. What advice do you have for those people?
I've seen many people like that. I think they are just following take the painkillers as needed path, sitting at home, waiting for things to heal. But I believe that if you don't move the muscles, you lose it. So for me, like, I know it might be tough. Like if you need help, there's always people around you who can support. I was pretty much living, in a share house, with other people that time. I had other people, like my roommates help me. I've had other therapists who helped me introduce to all these different therapists, and with me not having money, being supported by the long-term disability, the employment insurance or EI. Anyways, being supported by so many people to get there. So you really want to ask for help, rather than waiting. Like, you really want to take an active approach to recovery, because that is how your body really grows. Yeah.
The body is a miraculous thing and it can heal itself, but you do have to listen to it. And it sounds like you have taken the steps and you have surrounded yourself with folks that can help you do that. And we truly appreciate you sharing your inspiring story. And I'm sure you've inspired others today. Tadaaki Sun, again, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome. I'm very glad I can inspire more people through my story. So thank you for inviting me today.
Thank you. We'll be right back. for joining me today for BizTV's Create, Build, Manage. Do you have a message that you want to get out into the world? Thought Leader has helped many aspiring motivational speakers land TEDx talks, from their virtual talk practice club to speaker certifications and TEDx-style coaching. Thought Leader will help get your message out into the world where it belongs. For more information, visit thought-leader.com. Stay tuned to BizTV for more stories that educate, enlighten, and empower.